This is CBC Here and Now.
Since the media briefing yesterday, we've had no new positive cases.
Another day and a full week of no new cases. Tonight, why restrictions will remain in full force.
I can't imagine any more horrific set of circumstances when you're trying to search for someone that looks like you.
A chilling account of how the shooter in Nova Scotia carried out the killings, while people here and across the country honor the victims with a moment of silence. Good evening, I'm Carolyn Stokes. Nova Scotia is mourning the 22 deaths from a shooting rampage last weekend, and now another emergency situation is developing there. Police have locked down some neighborhoods in Halifax after reports of shots fired. These are new pictures from a short while ago. The RCMP have warned residents of the Hammonds Plains neighborhood to stay inside and lock their doors and windows. Now, this emergency alert was triggered and sent to all cell phones throughout Nova Scotia, warning people to take shelter and remain indoors. Police didn't release any more details. This alert comes after police were criticized for not issuing a similar warning during last weekend's attack. Now, this story is developing. We'll bring you updates as we get them. All of this is happening as Nova Scotians are preparing for an online vigil this evening to mourn the loss of those killed last weekend. There will be more details in half an hour on CBC. Now to the latest on COVID-19 in this province, and it's another day with good news. It's now been 7 days in a row without a single new COVID-19 case. There are still 5 people in hospital, 2 in the ICU, but no one new has been admitted to hospital in the last 10 days. So when will government begin to lift restrictions? Here Now's Peter Cowan joins us live. So Peter, we're holding steady at 0 new cases today. Does this mean we could start seeing restrictions ease up?
In the long term, yes, Carolyn, but in the short term, if you're wondering what does this mean for my weekend plans, the answer is no. The restrictions remain in effect. And today we heard from Dr. Janice Fitzgerald that if people are tempted, maybe it's time to go out and visit some people they haven't seen in a long time. She said there is still a risk. There is still COVID-19 in the community. And she said everyone you're interacting with, you're also being exposed to everyone that they've interacted with as well.
You do have to think twice about that. It may seem like it's not a dangerous thing to do or not a risky thing to do, but we don't know that at this time. So the safest bet is still to stay in your bubble.
Now we will start to get a sense of when these things may change on Monday. The province has announced they'll release the latest modeling information, giving us a sense of how COVID-19 may look for the next month or so. And they'll also talk about benchmarks, what sort of things they'll need in order to lift the restrictions. And Carolyn, the good news is the health minister hinted we may already be close to meeting those benchmarks with this week of no cases that we've seen.
All right, great. Thanks so much, Peter. That's Here Now's Peter Cowan reporting live.
Thank you. So we will interrupt for the moment of silence, as been just mentioned. So we will now stand in this room to our expression for the moment of silence.
During today's COVID-19 briefing, the Premier and officials took part in a countrywide moment of silence to remember the victims of the Nova Scotia shooting. And the moment of silence was also observed in this neighborhood in Pasadena. For Patty McNeil, the tragedy in rural Nova Scotia hits close to the heart. The retired RCMP officer is originally from Cape Breton. While he served the majority of his career in Newfoundland and Labrador, his last 3 years of service were as a district commander in Antigonish, just east of where the tragedy took place. He and about 15 neighbors wore red today for 2 minutes of silence.
Because there was no regimental funeral that could take place because of COVID-19, this is a little way, I can say, to Nova Scotia Newfoundland and Newfoundlanders are thinking about you.
Our CMP in Nova Scotia provided new information about the horrific events of last weekend, including a specific timeline of what happened. Police say they're investigating a number of theories about a possible motive, but as Simon Dingley reports, the violence started with a domestic assault.
To call this a tragedy would be an understatement.
Finally, in-depth details of last weekend's deadly Nova Scotia rampage. The RCMP confirms it began when gunman Gabriel Wortman had a violent confrontation with his girlfriend Saturday night, beating her and restraining her in his home in Portapique.
It was a significant incident. It was a significant assault. And this individual female did manage to escape. And that could very well have been the catalyst to start the chain of events.
Fearing for her life, she hid in the dark in the woods for several hours.
It was only after 6:30 in the morning or daybreak when a victim emerged from hiding after she had called 911.
Police say she provided critical details for the manhunt Sunday morning that eventually led to the gunman's capture.
He was in possession of a fully marked and equipped replica RCMP vehicle and was wearing a police uniform. We also learned that he was in possession of several firearms that included pistols and long-barreled weapons.
This was his killing field. 13 people murdered in a 2-square-kilometer area of Portapique. 12 hours later, police began receiving more calls from another region 60 kilometers away, where several more people had been murdered. A short time later, RCMP Constable Chad Morrison was waiting on a highway to meet Constable Heidi Stevenson.
The approaching police vehicle was actually driven by the gunman. The gunman pulled up beside Constable Morrison and immediately opened fire. Constable Morrison received several gunshot wounds.
Morrison survived, but fate was not as kind to Constable Stevenson, who collided head-on with the gunman's fake police car.
The gunman took Constable Stevenson's life. He also took Constable Stevenson's issued sidearm and her magazines.
He set their vehicles on fire. A passerby stopped and was shot and killed. The last victim known to the gunman was killed in her home, where he took off his RCMP uniform and took her car. He stopped to refuel here.
While he's at the gas pumps, one of our tactical resources came to the gas station to refuel their vehicle. When the officer exited the vehicle, there was an encounter, and the gunman was shot and killed by police.
A day, a manhunt, police say beyond compare. Simon Dingley, CBC News.
For the victims, for the families, for the province, and the country, Nova Scotia remembers. A vigil in honor of those lost. Friday at 7:30 in Newfoundland on CBC News Network.
Doctors in Western Newfoundland are going online to answer COVID-19 questions. A pair of physicians have started an interactive weekly broadcast. Here Now's Troy Turner reports.
Dave Thomas and Amy Pirouet are members of the Long Range Family Practice Network, and now they're moonlighting as Facebook Live hosts, reaching thousands of people through an online forum on the pandemic.
There seemed to be teams of questions that were coming up in clinic, and it was important for us to try to get that information out there so people truly understand what we're fighting against and how best we can respond to it.
The first podcast had 1,000 viewers tuning in live and as many as 7,000 after it aired. The doctors feel it's a great way to focus the conversation on what's important and true.
We know that there's so much information going around about miracle cures or ways to prevent yourself from getting it, but not all of those are based in evidence. And so I think trying to create a network of sources that are trustworthy, straightforward, no hype involved, no political spin, no one gaining anything from the way it's presented, I think that's the first way to address it.
People can submit questions beforehand or ask the doctors live. And if the first show was any indication, it's a success.
Questions were fabulous. They were what we thought they would be, to be honest, about how it affects people's lives and what we can do, and about masking and about self-isolation, all the big questions that people actually have.
Thomas and Pirouet say they will continue to run the weekly podcast as long as there's a need. The second will run Sunday at 7:30 p.m. To check it out on Facebook Live, go to the profile of David M. Thomas. Troy Turner, CBC News, Corner Brook.
Well, no school for kids, parents working from home. It's a new situation for everyone to manage. Kimberly Maish at Memorial University has some tips on how to keep your children learning while they're stuck at home by turning their everyday activities into authentic lessons.
I think maybe sticking to the academic type learning might be a little more of a challenge, but focusing on that authentic learning you can do at home can be really important. I was thinking of board games, for example, the game of life, or Monopoly, mortgages, probability, making some maybe more explicit connections to those types of things. Any way that you can slip some authentic reading, writing, drawing into the day. If you can develop a special COVID scrapbook of different activities, or if you're doing some science experiments at home, which could be cooking dinner, at least it would be if I tried to cook it. You could make a lab book, you could have a journal, you could make a cookbook together of this self-isolation time. So there are little authentic pieces that you could do together as a family. And those authentic learning pieces tend to really stick with us too. Right, especially if we're all doing it together as a family. It can be part of our memories of what we've done together and what we look back on in this time. Because even though it feels really tough to be at home together, you know there are going to be good memories to look back on too.
Well, a graduating student at a St. John's school has 48,000 reasons to be celebrating. John Pierce has been awarded the Chancellor's Scholarship at Dalhousie University in Halifax. It's worth $48,000 over the 4 years it'll take to complete an undergraduate degree. He spoke to Anthony today about the scholarship and his plans.
How did it feel when you got the letter saying congratulations, you've got the biggest scholarship Dalhousie University offers?
Well, I saw it come into my inbox and there was a bit of anxiety, you know, what's it going to be? What are we looking at here? So I opened it up, I read it, and I was just thrilled after I read it. I was so excited and really honored to be able to receive this, as you mentioned, the largest scholarship that they offer.
And what are you interested in studying?
Well, I'm planning on studying economics for my undergraduate degree, majoring in economics.
All right, so you've already figured out a master's degree in something else down the road?
Yes, master's degree, or maybe pursuing law school as well. There's a lot of options and there's a lot of time between now and then, so I've got some time to make up my mind.
It's been kind of a wacky year to say the least. How has the pandemic affected your year here at Holy Heart?
Well, obviously it's had a pretty large impact, but the thing is, and where I did the IB program here at Holy Heart, we had covered all the material that we needed for post-secondary and so on. So we were in a very fortunate position, and I was thankful to be able to have all of that done. Even though exams were canceled, we still got through all the things we had hoped to before we got to university.
John, as you probably know, Nova Scotia is not faring as well as Newfoundland and Labrador in this pandemic. Multiple deaths this week alone. Any concerns that Dal will stay closed pretty much the same way Hart is?
Well, I think it's a bit early to be making that decision. You know, we have a lot of time to go between now and then. I think that Dalhousie, I have confidence that they'll only open when it is safe to do so. You know, and if that has to be delayed a little bit, that's fine. The important thing is that we're safe. But if you look at where Nova Scotia is, they're doing, you know, compared to the rest of Canada, relatively okay. Maybe not as good as, you know, PEI, Newfoundland, some of the smaller provinces. But if you look at their testing rate and the total percentage of the population, it's not bad.
All right, well listen, John Pierce, fantastic news for you. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Not a bad weekend in store. We got a little bit of some snow and rain moving through to the first half of tomorrow. That gets out of the way. It looks like plenty of sunshine for most of us. We'll have all the details coming up.
update now on the situation in Nova Scotia. The RCMP there have issued an all clear in the most recent lockdown. It had issued an emergency alert and told people to stay indoors and lock their doors. There had been reports of gunshots fired. Police have issued the all clear for several areas where they had been searching. RCMP officers continue to patrol the area.
This weather update is brought to you by the Healthcare Foundation Home Lottery. Bonus deadline is midnight Friday, May 15th. Order tickets now at hcfhomelottery.ca.
Happy Friday, Ashley. The weekend is here. I hope that the weather is looking good. What kind of weekend is in store for us?
Yeah, it really depends on where you are, and it's just a little bit of a bump in the road. Let's say that.
Okay.
The one thing that we did note, today though is those winds strong yet again. Let's take a look at where we were sitting this afternoon. Wind gusts upwards of about 69 to 70 kilometers per hour for parts of the Avalon, and then we've got 40 to as much as 60 kilometer per hour winds everywhere else. Unfortunately, these winds are going to stick around as we head through the day tomorrow, but temperatures this afternoon quite lovely for eastern areas, 7 degrees in St. John, 6 in Terra Nova, and then a little bit cooler as you head towards the coast, about 4 degrees was the afternoon high in Corner Brook. Now, through the night tonight, again, those winds will ease off slightly, somewhere between 30 to 50 kilometer per hour winds. Then we're going to see the clouds on the increase as we start to see our next weather maker. Now, it does look like it'll start as snow and then quickly transition to rain for the Avalon as we head into the early morning hours. And most of the snow looks like it'll be from essentially the Bonavista Peninsula through to the Burin Peninsula, and then northwestern portions of the Avalon. So that moves off fairly quickly, and then it's going to be a beautiful rest of the day. And up through Labrador, you're just looking at the mix of sun and cloud and then the potential for a few flurries. So here's what I'm thinking snowfall-wise. 5 centimeters, a good bet in that area in White. Might see a little bit more in some of the higher elevations. Otherwise, less than 5 centimeters. Most of this will be a rain event, and it will be for the Avalon. Probably 10 to 20 millimeters of rain. Southeastern portions, you'll see upwards of potentially 30 millimeters rather. Winds will stay brisk, again 30 to 50 kilometer per hour winds tomorrow, but as you head west, temperatures much nicer in the 6 to 8 degree range for the majority. Marystown, you could see a high near 9 degrees, and then again, those flurries I was talking about. Best day of the weekend by far will be Sunday. Temperatures climbing to the 5 to 9 degree range with plenty of sunshine. Winds going to stay a little breezy, 20 to 50 kilometer per hour winds. And then we've got those flurry potential still for northern Labrador as well as Lab West. Just wanted to share this lovely photo of Frenchman's Island view from Sunnyside. Thank you so much to Blair Snook for sending that in. And if you have any weather photos, share those on the nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Oh, what a great shot. Thanks so much. And we'll talk to you on Monday, Ashley. Thanks.
for the victims, for the families, for the province, and the country. Nova Scotia remembers. A vigil in honor of those lost. Friday at 7:30 in Newfoundland on CBC News Network.
Time to find out who's celebrating. Let's start with the anniversaries. Happy 50th anniversary to Patsy and Glenn Keynes. Happy 60th to Wavell and Mary Moulton. Joe and Ruby Fifield of Valleyfield are celebrating 53 years together. Happy 50th anniversary to Nellie and Walter Smith. Congratulations to Lawrence and Bessie Harris on your 63rd anniversary. Happy 58th anniversary to Mary and Harvey Luffman. Joe and Marie Vaders are celebrating their 53rd anniversary. Congratulations to Ruby and Gerald George on their 59th anniversary. Happy 58th anniversary to Harvey and Audrey Reed. Happy 53rd anniversary to James and Margaret Squire. And it's a golden anniversary for Marion and Mike Seward. Beatrice and William Moyles are celebrating their 52nd anniversary. Happy 57th to Churchill and Joyce Morris. Congratulations to Jeanette and Earl Feltham, who are celebrating their 62nd anniversary. Happy 53rd anniversary to Marie and Joe Vaders. Happy 60th to Bob and Isabel George. Happy 66th anniversary to Ada and George Hawkins. Happy 56th anniversary to Elsie and Cyril Boone. Congratulations to Clifford and Jacqueline Bugden on their 55th anniversary. Lloyd and Effie Wareham are also celebrating 55 years together. Happy 57th anniversary to Walter and Audrey Jenkins. Happy 51st to Augustus and Dorothy Foster. Happy 50th to Gary and Rita Brocklehurst. Bill and Linda Hudson are also celebrating their 50th. Happy 55th anniversary to Walter and Annie Aucoin. Happy 60th to Josephine and Wilfred Gillard. Happy 59th anniversary to Rex and Jenny Piercy. Now to the birthdays. Happy 95th birthday to Lambert Galabois. Happy 95th birthday to May Vincent. A milestone birthday for Ida Pete. Happy 100th birthday. Happy 90th birthday to Dorothy Andrews. Elsie Marshall is celebrating a 98th birthday. Happy 90th birthday to Cliff McKay. Jean Butt Party is also celebrating a 90th birthday. Happy 93rd birthday to Elizabeth Croft. Happy 97th birthday to Georgina Curtis. Herbert Vincent is celebrating a 92nd birthday. Happy 95th to Phyllis Clench. Happy 91st birthday to Catherine Kitty Perrell. Thomas Edmonds has also turned 91. Happy birthday. Happy 95th birthday to Frank Harvey, and happy 90th birthday to Arthur Gooby of Queens Cove. And one more, happy 54th anniversary to Ron and Evelyn Glenn. Another fine crowd. Well, let's end the show on a beautiful note tonight. A special performance from the Ennis Sisters dedicated to the people of Nova Scotia.
Born unto this earth, generations one by one, ash to ash and dust to dust. There is nothing left undone. I'll sing for you because I need to. Right now, this is all I know. I'll sing so we will not forget you. I will sing you home. I will sing you home. I'll sing for you because I need to.
The Ennis Sisters posted this video online with the message, Nova Scotia, know you're in our hearts and we're sending you love during this most difficult time. It's a sentiment no doubt shared by many people in this province. Thank you so much for sharing some time with us tonight. Hope you have a safe weekend. The latest news from Nova Scotia is coming up next. Good night.
I will sing you